My name is Shivamanithan. I am working with Alternative Law Forum as an external consultant. And also, I am an advocate practicing in the High Court of Bangalore. Today I'll be discussing about the a case of atrocity that had happened in Hassan district. Uh, I got to know about this incident from the Hindu newspaper, where it was written that Dalit was beaten to death for asking water in an upper caste hotel. So we wanted to investigate as to why, for merely asking for drinking water, the upper caste would have beaten him to death. So, with our local contacts who are Dalit activists working in Chikmagalur district, around 5 people we went to the Hassan district, to this particular place. Now, this place is about 40 kilometers from the city of Hassan, which is called as Malipatna village in the Arkalgod Taluk. Now, this is a village. The moment you enter into this village, you will find the upper caste Vokkaligas, who are the dominant community. Their place of residence are in the entrance of the village, and the more you go towards the outskirts of the village, you have a colony of the Dalits. Now, in this particular village, there are mainly about 4 to 5 communities. The Vokkaligas, who are called as the Gaudas, constitute the majority of the caste. Then you have the Shettis, who are a minority in number. And then you have the Dalits. The Dalits are mainly composed of Holaya community. Now, the moment when he asked, "Are you a Holaya?" they are not able to identify what is a Holaya. They recognize themselves as Chalavadi. Chalavadi is a synonym for the Holayas in Karnataka. So, they live in a particular lane. This lane is a very narrow lane, and the entire community of the Dalits are landless agricultural laborers working in the farm of the upper caste or dominant caste Vokkaligas, as well as the other communities, the backward communities. None of the people in this particular Dalit colony have educated beyond 10th class. So the moment they complete or they fail in the 10th standard, they are sent to work in the farms of the dominant community. Now, in this particular lane, we have Kabaddi Venkatesh. Now, Kabaddi Venkatesh is the person who was brutally killed or murdered by the dominant community people. Now, he was well known for his sportsmanship, especially in the sports of Kabaddi, and also he was working for the Bahujan Samajwadi Party, as well as he was an organizing member for the Dalit Sangharsh Samiti of B. Krishnappa's faction. He was very active as a Dalit activist. He would help the members of the Dalit in terms of getting grants from the government or loans from the bank, educating the small children to pursue higher studies. So he was a very active member of the DSS as well as BSP. Now, from this Malipatna village, towards a distance of around 4 to 5 kilometers, there is another village called as Kalegalala. This Kalegalala village is entirely composed of the members of Vokkaliga community. As we interacted with the members of the Dalits in this Dalit colony of Malipatna, they narrated that the dominant community of Kalegalala, which is the Vokkaligas, would often have quarrels and fights with the Dalit community. Now, whenever the Dalits would organize events like public drama, during the time of the practice by the Dalit drama group, these people would come and attack them or tease them, humiliate them in front of the others. This has been happening for a very long period of time. The Dalit community have tolerated it. Now it has become regular for this Kalegalalas, Vakaligas to come and harass the Dalits during the time of festival, whenever they performed any kind of activities or acts or dramas. Now, during the past 6 months back, uh, there was a festival in the village, and in that festival, they had organized kabaddi sports. Now, in that kabaddi sports, people had grouped themselves on caste lines. So we had a Dalit kabaddi team from Dalit community, a kabaddi team from the Vakaliga community, a kabaddi team from other backward communities. So, in one such kabaddi sports, the Dalit kabaddi team and the Vakaliga kabaddi team had taken part, and in that particular event, the Dalit kabaddi team was about to win the match. Now, knowing that they would be winning the match, the Vakaliga started beating up the members of the Dalit kabaddi team, and the sports had to be stopped at that moment. Now, this had, I think, created some kind of ego problem with the Vakaliga communities, because of the way they narrated. After this particular event, the Vakaligas of Kalegalala would come to the villages of Malipatna, and without any provocation had beaten up two other individuals of Dalit colony. And during those two events, an FIR was registered and SC/ST Atrocity Act was invoked. But however, neither the police nor the public prosecutor had informed the victims as to what has happened to that particular case, whether they are supposed to come and give any statement in the police station during for filing of charge sheet, or to come to the court for giving evidences. Now, since the event had passed few months, when we inquired as to what is the stage of the case, now they started narrating that this particular two cases has been compromised. Now, when we inquired whether you have compromised in terms of not giving your statement to the police, or the police has filed a B report saying that the incident is entirely false, or have you entered into the witness box in the court, or have you compromised it with the... They said we have never been informed of anything, but when we inquired with the police said this case has been settled. So that is what these people had said. Now, on I think June 4th, Kabaddi Venkatesha, who was also a member of that kabaddi team which was about to win the match, had gone to a Hindu military hotel along with his friend around 1:30 in the afternoon to have lunch. Now, this hotel, Hindu military hotel, was being run by Jagdish, a Vakaliga Gowda from the Kalegalala village, now who was also presumed to be a member of that kabaddi team. Now, during while having his lunch, now he was feeling very thirsty, and he asked the owner Jagdish to bring him some water. Now, one of the eyewitnesses who was present at the time of incident said that the Jagdish was having beer. He was drinking inside the hotel along with few other persons. Now, when Venkatesha asked for water, Jagdish refused to give him water. Now, he started demanding water because he was feeling more and more thirsty, as some rice was stuck in his throat, so that he was demanding water. Now, for this reason, Jagdish got provoked, and he started to abuse him, saying that you Holayas have dared to come into this hotel and demand water. In terms of casteless, he began to abuse on Kabaddi Venkatesha. Now, Kabaddi Venkatesha said, just because I asked for water, what is the need to speak in these kind of language? Now, immediately he, along with his driver started beating Kabaddi Venkatesha inside the hotel, saying that again the castlers were spoken against him, invoking the name of their caste, and he was beaten very badly inside the hotel. The eyewitnesses who had accompanied Kabaddi Venkatesha for lunch, he tried to separate Jagdish from Kabaddi Venkatesha, and pleaded the hotel's owner Jagdish to leave him alone. After a while, they stopped beating him, they took him out, and when they were going out of the hotel, the sons of Jagdisha had come to the hotel for lunch, and they got to know about the incident. Now, suddenly, their sons as well as Jagdish came out of the hotel and started hitting him, and then punching him on the stomach and private parts of Kabaddi Venkatesha. And the moment he fell on the ground, they started to kick him on the abdomen. The entire incident was being witnessed by the villagers because it was taking place on a main road. But no one dared to come to stop the Jagdish because the lane where, or the place where Venkatesha was being beaten up was taking place in front of the houses of the Vokkaliga community. So none of them dared to come. Now, after about 20 minutes, this incident got spread amongst the Dalit people, which is in the next lane. The Dalit colony immediately, many people from the Dalit colony, including the wife and the mother of Kabaddi Venkatesha, came to the spot, and they started pleading. And when they pleaded, these people left the place. That is, the Jagdish and his sons left the place. Now, at that time, he had already started bleeding in his nose and ears. So they immediately took him to the Hassan hospital. Now, he was treated for 2 days in Hassan, and during the time of treatment, he had given the statement as to what has happened on that particular day. Now, after 2 days, the government hospital in Hassan, said that they cannot treat him because the condition was deteriorating, and they asked him to go to Bangalore. Now, in Bangalore, they had come to some Jayanagar 5th block, some hospital over there. Now, there he was treated for a day, and then the hospital people, the doctor said that no, he cannot survive, so you kindly take him back to Hassan. So on the next day, they took him to Hassan. There he was kept for a day, and he died. After 4 days, he had died. Now, during this period of time, despite the police coming to know about this incident, they had not registered any FIR. Now, when we inquired the constables in the police station, because the sub-inspector was not available, now the police constable said that we wanted to register an FIR against the accused persons, that is Jagdish and his sons and driver. But then a local DSS leader had intervened, and he had assured the police that he would compromise the situation. He would bring some kind of settlement between the two parties. Now, this was a time period when Kabaddi Venkatesha was still alive, when the DSS intervened and tried to compromise this issue. Similar to every other caste atrocity incidents, even in this case, we find that the police register an FIR under a very minor provision of 323, invoking section 323 of IPC, which is nothing but injury. And as a counter complaint, they also register a case on behalf of the accused, that is Jagdish, under same provision of 323, saying that Kabaddi Venkatesha had come to the hotel and demanded a glass for the purpose of drinking alcohol. Now, when they objected to it, he started to assault them. And that is the story of the Vokkaliga Jagdish, wherein 323 is invoked, and on behalf of the deceased Kabaddi Venkatesha, again 323 is invoked against the Vokkaliga Jagdish. Now, this is case and counter case. Now, after a minor IPC provision was invoked in the FAR. After a period of 3 days, Kabaddi Venkatesha dies. Now, at that moment, the police understand the gravity of the situation, and they take the permission and register an FIR under the SC/ST Atrocity Act. Now, as soon as an Atrocity Act was invoked, the accused are not absconding. They have been taken into custody, and it has been more than a month, I believe. None of them have even approached the court for filing an application for bail. After this particular incident, the members of the Dalit colony have united themselves in order to fight justice on behalf of the deceased Venkatesha. Now the entire colony is united. The moment we went to the colony, we saw that the members of other families coming to the house of Kabaddi Venkatesha, trying to narrate the incident, trying to say that we want justice because we have been humiliated over and over again by the Okaliga community for a very long period of time. So for that reason, they have united themselves. Now they also say that until the death of Kabaddi Venkatesha, they never understood what is the strength of the SC/ST Atrocities Act, as well as they never knew that the state missionary can come to their place and can grant relief to the members of the deceased. They are not aware of any of the social welfare measures for the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. They are not even aware of the provisions of the SC/ST Atrocities Act. Despite many humiliations and atrocities, none of them had gone beyond registering an FIR and fighting out the case in the court. So, but in this particular case, they want to see that the accused people are convicted in this particular case, and they are ready to give evidence. The eyewitnesses are narrating the story of what has happened on that particular day in a consistent manner. So the version of the witnesses are truthful, and this is a case, not just a mere incident of a sudden provocation where there is an assault and a person is beaten to death, but looking at the history of the assault that has taken place between the villages of Kalegalala and the Dalits of Malipatna, this is again a caste motivated attack, and rightfully the Atrocity Act has been invoked in this case. As per the mandate of the Act, as soon as an incident comes to the notice of the police are supposed to register an FIR under the SC/ST Atrocity Act. If the victim belongs to or is a member of the scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe, and the accused is a member of a community which is other than the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. Okay, so as soon as an incident is brought to the notice of the police, the FIR has to be registered. But the practice of the police is what we have seen in the past is that as soon as an incident is brought to the notice of the police immediately calls one of the leaders of the Dalit community to see that if he is able to settle the matter between the communities. That happens, and most of the time it is successful. As soon as a Dalit leader enters into the picture or a local Dalit organization enters into a picture, they try to somehow bring a settlement between the parties and try to close the case so that it is not reported. Now, if there is pressure from the people, the police does register an FIR, but there is a delay in registering the FIR because there is a middleman or a middle organization trying to compromise the issue, and by the time the FIR is registered, almost 3 to 4 days is lapsed. The reason that is usually given for delay, or it is being forced by the police upon the complainant, is that the delay was due to negotiation with the members of the family whether to register an FIR or not. That is the reason usually being forced upon the complainant. But in fact, it is not the delay on part of the victim's family, or in fact it is the delay on part of the police, and in order to try to cover up their mistakes or lapses, they try to shift the burden on the family members and try to say that it is because of them there has been a delay. And also what we notice is that the police do not immediately act upon on the complaint in terms of either arresting the accused persons. Even in this case, it has been after more than 30 days, the accused who were absconding were uh, detained by the police. Now, this is in respect of this particular case. This is what has happened. The arrest has been There has been a delay in the arrest. There has been a delay in filing or registering the FIR, which can hamper the investigation as well as also become a factor for acquittal during the time of the trial, when the burden is on the family members as to the reason why they have not immediately. So it becomes the conduct of the family members also becomes essential for the during the time of the trial, as to whether they have immediately acted or whether they tried to bargain or they tried to enter into some kind of settlement. So that is one of the major defects which we see when the FIR is being registered at a very delayed point of time. So we see lapses in terms of registering the FIR as well as the arrest of the police. And we are not sure as to how the investigation has progressed. What we so far know is that the accused have not approached the court for filing regular bail. It seems that they have been waiting for the charge sheet to be filed by the police. In all these cases, what I would request the prosecution or the police is that they must immediately act upon the complaint and immediately try to arrest, try to collect the evidences, statements of the eyewitnesses, and prepare a charge sheet which can withstand the trial and conclude in terms of convicting the accused. And also the members of the family members of the deceased, that they must also not compromise at any point of time, because usually what we see in the court is also the judiciary as well as the prosecution initially puts pressure on the family members of the victim to see that they enter into a settlement. So, and that is why there has been a lot of acquittals that is happening. So the family members must also try to remain as adamant as they are during the initial course of time, that we have seen that they want to see the accused be convicted in this particular case, and also render proper evidences during the course of the trial. And lastly is that the Dalit organizations, which play a major role in all these kind of issues, is that they should never involve in trying to settle the matter, bring a settlement or compromise between the accused and the victim's family, which is very often taking place across Karnataka. Usually the judiciary try to focus only on the story that has been narrated in the complaint, and they do not understand the social structure of the village or the place where the incident has taken place. A CST Atrocity Act is not like any other penal provision. It has its own reasons why it has become a special act, why there is a need to have a special law for tackling offenses that are specific to a particular community. So it has its own historical background as well as the social structure of the Hindu society, the reason for which an act has to be brought into place. Now, usually there is always a mechanical understanding of the law. The court would be very narrower in terms of looking only at the stories which has been narrated, rather than the kind of harassment that a particular community, which is usually minority, has to face as against the dominant community of the particular villages. So despite knowing these facts, the court would turn a blind eye to all these social as well as historical reasons for a particular incident, and would focus mainly on the facts. Now, what I would suggest, or in terms of dealing with the justice being done in atrocity cases, is that the judiciary has to look beyond the mere words that has been narrated in the complaint or in the statements given by the victims, and to give a special focus on the social relationship between the two communities which is involved in this particular fight, to understand its gravity. So by focusing not merely on the words but also on the, as I said, the social relationship between the castes, as well as the historical background as to why the incident has taken place, in a holistic, the court has to look at it in a holistic manner in order to arrive at a proper decision. So I feel that would provide some kind of justice to the family members of the caste atrocities.